Play. Game. 15 love.
Please welcome to the court two SMU Mustangs, Huntley Allen and Julian Noah Steinhauser.
Okay, now about Shelton.
Dallas Mavericks legend Dirk Nowitzki is a noted tennis lover.
Okay, now about Shelton. Okay. Ready? Play.
And wanting to get back to that, what are some of the specific things you've been working on with the two marks?
Yeah, definitely like transition game. I think serve, transition, volleys, trying to use my slice more. Just, all stuff I've worked on before. It's just like fine-tuning certain things, things I feel like could get a little bit better, or things that I do well, and it's just maybe getting a little bit more comfortable using them in a match.
Did you spend a week with Mark Knowles?
We're just going to have to move slightly up this way. No, just move slightly up this way. Yeah.
You spent some time with Mark in Dallas?
I did, yeah.
Same thing?
Pretty much, yeah. I spent a week with them in Dallas before San Diego, and we worked on a lot of transition and stuff like that, and also just getting to know each other on the court, which is really, the biggest part of it, and what I like and what I don't like, what cues work, what don't, what I respond well to, so that's definitely been a learning curve a little bit, but yeah, part of the process.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you're 30, you're making a coaching change, like, I won't say late in your career, but later in your career.
Yeah.
Just what is that process like, getting to know a new coach? Like, how do you kind of build that relationship?
Yeah.
In all
It's
aspects?
weird because I haven't really switched that many coaches throughout my career. I've always had maybe a handful, and I always felt like I stuck with them for quite a long time. So it was definitely a little bit of an adjustment, but again, I haven't really done it in like 4 or 5 years, so it's kind of a relearning curve. And obviously, I'm at a different place in my career than I was 5 years ago, so that also adds to it. But I think it's just seeing how they can help me. I mean, they were all players. They all played. They've coached other players, been around really top players, and it's just trying to understand, what my mentality is, how they think they can help me in my game on court and then mentally as well. So it's kind of been a process having to get to know each other.
Jessica, you picked a couple of guys who never had anything to do with the WTA
Yeah.
or any other way. I mean, obviously, that's no surprise to you. Well, why did you think that might be something that
I really didn't want someone I felt like has been recycled through a lot of players, no offense, but there's a lot of those, and they might be great coaches, but I just was like, I just want someone that's maybe a little bit different. And I know they come from the ATP side, but they've watched a lot of women's tennis. They're smart. They're not stupid. I mean, it's not rocket science, right? Like, they went to one tournament and they're like, okay, I see the difference now a little bit. So it hasn't really taken that much long, I don't think, for them to adjust. And I know Knowsley commentates a lot of women's matches already, so I don't really think it was that much of a change.
but working with a woman as opposed to coaching a man is also
Yeah, it's definitely different. They've like joked about some things in warm-ups, like, I don't know, guys like to switch when they're warming serves and returns up, and they're like, oh, the girls don't like to do that, huh? Or like just stupid, like silly stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely maybe a little bit different, but at the same time, we're all just athletes trying to learn how to win as well. So I kind of appreciate the mentality that they have and the experience, and I feel like confidence too.
Your next opponent, Leylah Fernandez, you've not played before. What do you think of her game? I think a lot of people have been looking forward to this matchup.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe I've never really played her. It's been crazy. I mean, we've practiced a few times, but honestly, not that recently. So, obviously she's a great competitor, great athlete, and I know that I'm going to have to go out there and beat her on that day, and it's not going to be easy. So, it's going to be a tough match. Always tricky playing a lefty. She's familiar with trains down here, lives down here as well. So I think it's going to be really tough.
Is it fair to say that both of you are not playing the best tennis of your careers right now?
I wouldn't say we're right this second, maybe today, playing the best tennis of our careers, but I think we're capable of that, and I think that's always really dangerous when both of us have a lot of experience in those situations. We know our level can be really high, we know how to work through matches, and we both know how to compete through those circumstances, so it makes it tricky because it's not like you're playing someone that maybe has never done it before, or has never been in that position, or had those big wins. So I think that's what will make it pretty tough.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready? Play.
Hello guys, we'll be watching Ben Shelton and Martin Landaluce today, tonight, this evening, wherever you are in the world. This is, of course, a pretty exciting matchup between two future stars. I mean, with Shelton, we kind of already know it. With Landaluce, we probably still have to kind of find this out and, yeah, just give him time to develop. But he is the 2022 US Open champion. Is my mic okay? Well, sorta. I don't know. Is something not fine, or? No, it's okay. Anyway. Yeah, so after this brief interruption, which you actually didn't see because it was backstage, but anyway, my mic is okay apparently. So Martin Landaluce against Ben Shelton. Yeah, Martin is, of course, the 2022 US Open champion, just 18 years old, I think, right now, right? And, well, he's developing at a pretty nice pace, I would say. The last year was sort of spent picking up a lot of challenger wildcards, but at the same time also putting in the effort at the ITF level. He showed up in Barcelona, Madrid as well, the main tour events. At the beginning of the season, probably wasn't doing that hot, but after a while, he kind of got his game to a stage where it was already threatening for challenger players. Actually, in 2023, the last two appearances that he had there, he made quarterfinals. He beats Rincon, he beats Cazaux. That's a big win, right? He plays a great match against Lestien as well in Alicante. And then this year, he's making just more steps forward. He wins his first ITF title, his first pro title as a whole in February. It was a 25K, which was pretty stacked. Like, there was no maybe standout name. There's no one that I'm going to tell you that he beat and you're going to be like, oh my God, Martin Landaluce. But every single round had him playing like a pretty dangerous competitor. He makes his first challenger semifinal in Tenerife, almost beats Mikhail Kukushkin there as well. And all in all, I mean, I think this has just been a lot more, perhaps small for now, but still steps to the, towards, just making progress. Tenerife in January, he also almost beat Brandon Nakashima, who then won the title, 5-3 for Landaluce in the third set, but he lost that match. And also right now, of course, he gets a Miami main draw wildcard. Why does he get it? Of course, Miami is like an event that doesn't really care about nationality when it comes to their wildcards. They mostly look at IMG players and stuff. I actually don't know how much Landaluce is connected to IMG. He's like more Rafa Nadal Academy and stuff. But anyway, he gets a wildcard here. Of course, this is a wildcard I'm very fine with, a talented youngster. I mean, I understand if someone from the States will be like, well, we should give them to local players. Sure, that's also a good call, but I think we cannot really be angry about a young, talented player getting a wildcard. And in fact, he's already used it. He beat Jaume Munar in the opening round, his first main tour win, his first win in an ATP 1000, obviously. In that match against Jaume Munar, he played a great first set. Like, it was clear that his ball quality is higher than Munar's on the hard court, perhaps even on all surfaces, really. But of course, Munar is such a good grinder and such a seasoned pro. But all in all, it was like kind of tough on him physically as well. We know that the Miami conditions, the heat, the humidity, they can be pretty tough on you. And Martin looked down, but then from 1-3 down, I think, in the third set, or something like that. No, actually, it was even 3-5 down, right? I think he won the last 4 games of the match. Yeah, he managed to prevail in the end. There's still a lot more that he needs to do in terms of growing as a match player. There is more that he can take out of his serve for sure, given his physicality. Fitness-wise, yes, he can grow as well. Experience, shot selection, everything is kind of, he's going to be working towards it. But what hasn't changed since the juniors and what hasn't sort of, what is still his main asset, I think, is just how clean and just how well he strikes the ball simply. Simply the way that he produces his shots is very impressive. And I think it's a great foundation to build upon for sure. I was definitely very fond of Landaluce in the junior days. As I said, the US Open 2022 champion. He beat Gilles Arnaud-Bailly in that final. And for now, I think the development that he's had, it's quite good. I mean, he's definitely moving much better, because in the juniors, he used to be like a total, just a clunky mover with his feet both on the attack and especially on the defense, just really stopping him from getting into position more often. And because he's such a good ball striker, he would generally struggle, to just find the shots and find the right moments to sort of pull the trigger, because he was never really in position to hit the ball. However, right now it's getting better. Like, you can even see him defending pretty well out of the corners right now. Maybe this point that we just watched right now, that didn't really show it to you. But yeah, all in all, I think perhaps if you're watching him for the first time, you're not going to notice it. And you might be even like, well, Landaluce isn't too great a mover. But this has improved. Let me tell you, this has improved considerably. And he is 40-15 up now on the in the second game of the match on his serve. As like the general idea before this match, I think Shelton will be too good. I honestly don't have high hopes for Landaluce in this match. I think Shelton just has so much weaponry, and also this year he's been very consistent, actually. This is something that people, I don't know if they've picked up on it. we kind of talked about this on yesterday's watch along, which I wanted to say which match it was, but it was actually kind of like 3 matches in one. But we talked about it with Kira, and basically we just talked about Shelton winning 2 matches in every single event, but never more than 2 matches this year. Of course, at the very beginning of the season, he lost to Safiullin in Brisbane, but since then, he's been winning 2 matches and then losing. So while it is impressive, it's also like kind of disappointing. So it's a mix, definitely. However, I feel like it's still progress for him, because last year obviously he was like totally on and off, and way more often off until the Asian swing, until the US Open. So I would say that this is still good for him, and I kind of expect him to do similarly in Miami, just win the matches that he's expected to. I think he might have just too much for Landaluce, and also in terms of the 3 points coming from his serve, I think that will be a major asset for him over Martin. But we'll see. Grandstand first match today. Obviously a big encounter, because it's Shelton, because he's a big stage player and like people want to watch him, and also because we are seeing another very talented youngster along with him. The Landaluce coach here on the screen, Oscar Burrieza, sporting the cap from Rafa Nadal Academy. We also had another Rafa Nadal Academy prospect here at the event with Coleman Wong. He qualified, was close to taking a set against Laszlo Djere, let's say. Didn't end up doing it, but that was kind of due to his fault. That was kind of his fault, and not his fault in the sense that he was outplayed or something. But yeah, he really should have taken it. But yeah, anyway, for now, Shelton misses this inside-in forehand, so it's 1 game all. And let's see how this match will be progressing. At the same time, also 4 more encounters around the grounds. 3 more encounters around the grounds on the men's side and 2 on the women's. So I'll make sure to talk about how they're going from time to time as well. But of course, the primary focus and the match that I will be watching is going to be Ben Shelton against Martin Landaluce. I don't think Landaluce's return game is particularly strong either. Not that maybe it will be the main difference maker against Shelton, because like Shelton can serve anyone off the court. But even when you like have him against players who just kind of throw the ball into the court, he can miss quite a lot. So it is a bit of a shell of a game for now. Like it is a bit of a shell of the player he once might be. But that still makes it very exciting to see how he's going to handle himself in this match. First time he gets an opportunity like this, to play a guy like that. I mean, last year I think when he played Lestienne probably was in the top 100. Nakashima I think wasn't in the top 100 yet when he played him this year. Of course, Jaume Munar, his round 1 opponent, was, so that was a big win for Martin. But to face someone from the top 20, is definitely quite massive for him. Just in terms of the occasion and win or lose. Last year he also played Richard Gasquet when he was in the top 50, I think, still the Frenchman, but he actually got kind of blown out in that Madrid match. But yeah, I think Landaluce and Madrid last year, May or April, somewhere on the verge of these 2 months, that was still a pretty major difference compared to right now. And I'm checking it right now, and indeed, these 3 matches that I mentioned, so Munar, Gasquet, and Shelton, these are his only top 100 opponents faced. So he lost to Gasquet in Madrid last year, he beats Jaume Munar here, and now it's playing Ben Shelton. I guess that's a let. Shelton very close to closing out the first game, but so far he's going to have to serve again. I think the answer, Nurlan, is that I was not looking at the chat. I was looking at the stream. I have one screen here, so I basically look at either the stream or the match. Well, either the chat or the match, because technically both are streams. Now I acknowledge it, though. Was Darwin Blanche wildcard a one-off, or will we be seeing him getting more this year, says Matthew. I mean, US Open maybe, but like Darwin Blanche wildcard was a little out there, He probably would have gotten more out of a qualies wildcard. So, but when it comes to in the future, yes, we will be seeing more wildcards for him. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. The fact that he got it here, despite kind of not being ready for it, because obviously he's the best of the Blanche family. He's the best junior prospect right now for the States, I think. So there's no issue with that at all. I don't know if he will be getting more this year though, because as I said, it's kind of early. Like major wildcard here that was pretty offensive, I would say. He did okay. Like he didn't do poorly. I just think in the qualies he probably would have gotten more playtime and maybe more experience as well. I wonder how much Team Shelton know about Landaluce, says Matthew as well. Yeah, I mean, it is a big question. I remember actually talking about this with Ben when he was playing Marojan and Zapieri in Cagliari last year. And I was sort of like, okay, so you never left the United States before this year. You didn't play juniors like almost at all. So these guys are like complete unknowns to you, right? And that's what he said. But he basically just told me that like in this day and age, there's a lot of options to watch players, just that especially these that are sort of like very promising and coming up, either like past challenger streams or just on YouTube. So basically that's how they get their information about guys like this that they have no reason to know otherwise. So well, that's probably how Ben Shelton was preparing, or someone from his team probably was preparing him for Martin Landaluce, which should be a fine idea, I think, as long as they took like a more a recent match relatively. I think they should more or less know what's coming, because for example when he played Marojan in Cagliari when he played Marojan for the first time, he clearly had no idea what was coming for him. He still won the match in 2, but he was like he couldn't stop talking about the drop shot, and he was clearly so surprised by it. So clearly that preparation there did not really go according to plan, and he just didn't have the clearest idea on what Fabi is going to bring out. I think with Landaluce it's a little easier. Like you can watch him for a minute and he's striking the ball pretty clean, but I don't know if you really need to know much. Otherwise you're probably going to see him not being the greatest, not being the lightest of movers right away as well. So I did not see the end of Evans Eubanks. I think I slept through it. I was waiting for that Merida final at 3 a.m. and that was quite an experience. I managed to watch it though, so I was successful. And indeed it was Eubanks saving a crazy match point. And that's massive for Chris because he's defending the quarterfinal points here. Third round is still not much. Like he still needs to beat Zverev realistically, like not to have any massive loss. But it covers for a lot of these points already. So for someone like Chris who was defending plenty here in Miami, yeah, that was quite an achievement yesterday to beat Evans from that position. Couple of simpler errors from Landaluce here, but for now he's still 30-15 up. Shelton barely gets the return over the net, but now that he's in the rally, he's trying to just keep it pretty clean. Hit solid, but he misses that backhand first up, trying to trade against the Landaluce forehand. Of course, the lefty-righty balance in this match, we're going to see how it impacts the match as well. But Landaluce probably shouldn't struggle that much with any attempts to add height on the topspin forehand cross. That's probably not what Ben is going to be all about here. And it's another game for the Spanish youngster. So for now, he's holding up okay. Produces this snappy +1 forehand here, and once again just gets a backhand error from Ben Shelton. Is Hurkacz Korda today? I think it's tomorrow, right? Yeah, it is tomorrow. Nurlan is picking Anna Kalinskaya to finish the year in the top 20. That is aggressive too, but I like that as a hot take. I don't know if I'm fully behind it, but I like that as a hot take for sure. I actually want to see now where she is in the WTA race. Of course, yesterday she only lost 4 games against Jelena Ostapenko, which is a bit of an eye-catching result for sure. Ostapenko, a player who can just randomly turn off. Yes, sure, but it does look like a very respectable scoreline, let's say, from her perspective. And Kalinskaya right now is number 8 in the WTA race. If she won that final against Paolini, right? I mean, that would help so much. She would be number 4, I think, if she won that one, which is pretty crazy to think about. But, after all, Australian Open, quarterfinals, Dubai title or final. Yeah, totally makes sense if you think about it this way. Shelton getting a great serve in here as well. So far, maybe the lefty angles of the baseline are not bothering Landaluce, but the lefty angles of the serve are for sure. And Shelton serve and volleying here, should be able to put it away, needs 2 volleys to get there, but he does. So 3-2 up. Katie Bolter, talk in the chat. Who did she beat? Oh yeah, Haddad Maya. That was late at night and I kind of missed it. Something that was funny to me when I saw, I think it was Jose Morgado who was tweeting out the bottom half of the draw. And then he's like, well, it's totally open now. And literally the only thing that's changed is Sabalenka out. So is it really all it takes for the draw to be totally open is for Sabalenka to be out of the event? I guess that's his logic there, which is a little wild to me, but well, maybe it just means that the draw was totally open to begin with. Oh, that's a fun question as well. Kalinskaya or Kostyuk, who will finish higher? Kostyuk currently number 9 in the WTA race, 72 points away from Kalinskaya. Of course, she withdrew here from, I think, due to illness. So Kalinskaya has some chance to make up ground. I mean, I kind of like the idea that Kostyuk, like maybe Kalinskaya will have the bigger results, but Kostyuk might be more consistent across surfaces and across conditions. Does that make sense? I think it does. Ghosty already with the Korda shade. He just couldn't keep himself from talking about it. How do you rate Murray's chances? Surely won't get a better chance to make such a deep run. He was serving very well yesterday, for sure. He's playing Thomas Machac, though. And I think on courts like this, that's rough. I think it's probably going to be closer than the Marseille match recently, but if Machac is playing like he was against Rublev and just generally taking the ball super early, this is something that Andy doesn't like right now. I mean, Andy is obviously, defensively, he is way past his prime. And if Machac just takes time away from him, I don't really like that matchup for Andy anymore. Well, I never did, but of course, back in the day, like 10 years ago, it was not a matchup because Thomas Machac was in diapers. But ever since he kind of came onto the tour, and well, they only played once, but just doesn't seem like a good matchup right now for Andy. I think he will need a certain drop off in level from Thomas and probably some patchy execution from him as well. John very confidently saying that he's losing. Yeah, I wasn't that convinced, but I kind of am. Actually, maybe I was just trying to hedge, but I just feel like Machac really should be winning a match like this. It sounds perfect. I mean, he's playing a guy who really has nothing to respond with. Like, if he's just, doing, basically what he does every single match. So trying to take the ball early, then if he finds a good enough backhand down the line, or if he just, manages to give himself some sort of situational advantage, get to the net, close it out. Like, it sounds really good for Mahash to me. We'll see. Kalinina is low-key the best Ukrainian right now. I mean, there's Kostyuk, Kostyuk kind of takes the cake for me. I don't think it's Yastremska, who of course hasn't really pushed on from her run at the Australian Open. I don't think it's Kalinina either. Svitolina, she has cooled off a little bit, like from when we were basically trying to say that maybe she's even better than before the pregnancy. She's kind of cooled down. She's kind of cooled off. So I mean, my answer would be Kostyuk for that, for sure. Best Ukrainian right now. I wanted to have some fun and maybe throw in a Ukrainian from the ATP tour as well, but there's no one really that can right now match Marta Kostyuk. Oleksiy Krutik is in a slump. Orlov not really gonna break through anyway. Bielinskis are not there yet. I don't think I can really talk about anyone anyway. Hi, Jake. Love to see a reaction anytime I'm on the stream. 40-30 now. Landaluce trying to hold once more. Seems like there was quite a bit of hesitation on this forehand, trying to go either inside in or inside out. In the end, it's kind of like a half measure. I can get that. It happens to me all the time, but obviously he's the pro who's playing for a lot of money and for a lot of points here. And that was still a shot he should be taking advantage of. So it is deuce. Ben at his, so far his best chance at a break, really. We'll see if it turns into something. He gets the return back, which already has been giving Landaluce some trouble the last few games, but no, not this time. This time the put away is just very smart, safe into the open court, and Shelton won't be able to catch it. This one he played with conviction, that's for sure. Not a hint of, should I be going there? Definitely not. What a return from Shelton here, like this super compact backhand swing. I don't even want to call it a swing, he just hardcore blocked it. And it became a rocket directed at Landaluce's feet. So back at deuce. Landaluce is getting some free points on serve, but I kind of would assume that eventually it's not going to be enough against Ben. I think that Shelton should be getting a lot of returns in anyway, despite his own returning style being, of course, quite aggressive and not really about percentages. This one, he just makes it in there, finds this great backhand down the line, very flat, lands it on the line. So it's going to be a breakpoint for Ben Shelton, quite possibly the first crucial moment of this match. Big roar as well from the American. We know that he loves big crowds. We know that he loves playing on the stage and just sort of entertaining as well as playing. Let's see if he can entertain with another good return. It's a great serve from Landaluce. I mean, I'm impressed that Shelton even got it back. And now he's got Martin on the move. Going to the net, beautiful volley too. This was not easy at all. There was this one forehand that Landaluce barely makes over the net, and I thought that maybe at that point Shelton will already win the point. But after that, it actually got a lot more tricky. Martin recovered pretty well to the backhand corner, tries to pass Shelton down the line, but what a volley from Ben, and he manages to get the first break, 4-2, and looks just very strong so far in this matchup. 2 more holds to get the set. Let's see if he can keep winning his games as easily as he's been so far. Then probably on the changeover, I'm going to talk about what's happening on the other courts as well. let's see how quick this hold will be for Shelton Landaluce. Of course, last night there was Shapovalov Tsitsipas, which like featured billion long games on the Tsitsipas serve, and one of them was like 20 minutes. So sometimes saying that you're going to do, perform a certain action after the game might actually end up being 20 minutes later. But in this case, I'm kind of expecting simpler holds, and I'm just kind of expecting, another speedy action from Ben. We'll see. That's most certainly how he's been going so far. 2 unreturned serves. Oh, actually, no, sorry. This one was a let. So just one for now. Or maybe it was even out. I don't even know at this stage. Yeah, it looks like it was actually out. Sorry. And he loses the rally as well, so he's not 30 love up. He is 15 all. Landaluce again, sort of when he's standing at the middle and just blasting balls at Shelton, he's doing very, very well. You definitely want to avoid keeping him so stationary and just having a lot of time to make 1 or 2 steps and just blast it, because that's what he's good at. Great point from Shelton here again. The drive volley, very tough actually, but he manages to get it just right. 30-15. There was a good recovery earlier when he was like a little out of bounds, but manages to get back into the point right away. He's way more dynamic than Landaluce, and he's definitely showing it so far. Even I don't want to say he's exposing it, because I don't think it's really been the main story of this match so far, but he's definitely utilizing that advantage that he has over Martin to a great extent so far. Yeah, Ghosty, that's probably right, that the distant memory of Dolgopolov is the best Ukrainian. Ilya Marchenko, of course, still playing, but yeah, also not really at the level that their women's players are. Sieri Stakowski, still remembered. Fun point here, Shelton serving volleying, gets to a half volley dropper, but eventually Landaluce will make the shot, so it's 4-2. I would like to rewind though, because they showed the average first serve speed, I think, and I was interested to see that maybe it wasn't actually that different between the two. Which maybe isn't how you would maybe think of it in general. Yeah, it's just 1 mile per hour, for Shelton. However, the lefty angles, the way he is spot serving, that explains a lot of it, and that explains why he's also more effective on his delivery than Landaluce, despite basically having the same speed, at least average-wise, because, of course, the serves that Shelton was cracking at the US Open, 140 plus and stuff, that's something that's not really in Landaluce's caliber yet. Serena, is it 377? Let me check. No, 377 is Graf, right? No, let me check that. I don't remember. WTA number ones. Yeah, Steffi is 377. I was right, and Serena is total weeks 319. You guys are right now at about 100, right? So we need 4 more years of domination. It's not impossible. I don't think it's like the record that she necessarily has to get. I think mostly that's the WTA thousands one. Like, I think that's something she's going to get from Serena 100%. But this one, I'm not uber confident. Of course, there might, it might very well be that some of her rivals in like 5 years we haven't really seen on the tour yet, or like we haven't seen them at full ability yet. So it's hard to say who she's going to have to rival in like 4 or 5 years. But for now, I think if she wins Roland Garros, I think she's going to stay at number 1 for the rest of the year, which would already bring her up to like, 130 or something like that. So, it would be a good step towards that. Landaluce is not very common. Only 17 people in the world. That would be interesting. I don't know. I mean, it's not very common for sure, but like 17 people in the world, maybe. Check your surname, Ghosty, and see if it's accurate. How about the year-end number ones, says Warner? Let me see how often Serena got it, but I actually don't think that Serena has a lot in that regard. Like Steffi leads the tour in the weeks at number one, and I think she might also lead it by year, right? Yeah, Steffi finished number one at 8 times. So Serena did it 5 times, along with Evert. Navratilova did it 7 times. So this is very gettable, obviously. Iga already has 2 year number ones back to back. Very hard to dominate the way that Graf did it, but I think getting to Serena's type of domination, because we need to remember that even in the years that Serena was winning slams, she would often be like, number 10 in the rankings or something like that. And I'm not even talking about late career. Like, there were years in like 2009, 8, and stuff that, well, maybe that's actually not accurate, but like 2010, when she actually wasn't high in the rankings, she was still winning a whole lot. But her years at number one, they aren't sort of as prominent as her dominance over all the other events, I would say. And sort of, yeah, she just had a lot of years when she wasn't playing that often. For example, 2010, she plays only 29 matches. 2011, she plays only 25. She finishes 2007 at number 7, 2005 at number 11, 2006 at number 95, 2011 at 12. And then, of course, she has like 5 years straight up in the top 3. It's actually kind of that 2013, 2015 period of dominance, if you may, even like post-prime Serena, that managed to get her all of these records with like weeks at number one and year at number one finishes, which, in both, she's not that far from Steffi Graf. But yeah, even in her prime, she used to have quite a lot of seasons where she wasn't really at the top ranking-wise because she wouldn't play as much. She wouldn't basically she wouldn't be playing as many tournaments as other players, injuries or whatever other reasons. So I think her records in terms of number ones are actually gettable. Steffi is the tougher player to reach in that sense. And now Ben Shelton will serve for the set. 5-3 up. Let's see if this one will be as easy for him as the previous few games. So far, it's been just a clinical performance from him. Nothing crazy, nothing exceptional, but basically just playing a very sound match. Both, well, I don't even want to say tactically, but I mean, yeah, he's serving well, he's hitting consistent, and that's kind of all you need to do for now. Serve and volleying here, he's been great at the net too. That actually, I can say that maybe this is the exceptional part so far. A few really good reactions, a few really good touch volleys. He's actually been at the net 7 times, won 5 points, but they've been very memorable and definitely quite tough from time to time. Landaluce had an even better accuracy right now. He's 5 out of 6. Quite a lot of serve and volleying from Ben as well. He was trying to do it again on this point. It's going to be a second serve though, so I'm not expecting that play again. And it's not. Seems like the Landaluce return was a little out though. Yeah, a little long here. So we get the close call here. Indeed, it was long. So 30 love for Ben Shelton, just 2 points away from claiming the opening set. And basically a perfect start to his match and also to his event, because as we know, this is the first match that Ben plays in this event. We still haven't finished, we still haven't started some round 2 matches on the men's side, despite this being Sunday, of course, due to the rain the past 2 days. But right now it should be better, basically from now on to the rest of the event. And right now, today, we still have 8 round 2 matches to finish. 4 of them are, of course, going on right now. And that's another big serve from Shelton, this time at the body. Landaluce can't make clean contact. So it is 6-3 Ben Shelton after about, 35 minutes maybe of action. I'm probably going to see it soon. Oh, I actually guessed right. It was 35 minutes. So, yeah, great stuff for Shelton so far. Landaluce, for the moment, as expected, kind of not being able to match Shelton on serve, and that's a big deal, and probably the biggest reason why he's not, why he's not closer in this match for the time being, at least. Shelton only lost 5 points on his serve, and 2 of them were on the first serve, so 18 out of 20. He's also getting a lot of first serves in, it seems. So, and over 50% of his serves have been unreturned. So that's another indicator of how big that advantage for him is so far, and how most of the time he just doesn't even need to play the points on serve. Great serving coupled with Landaluce perhaps not being the best returner, but I still think the first part is more important. Reaver says that Nadal has got to come back for Roland Garros. Seeing him on clay, even when he plays badly, is such a treat. But I guess that's what you get with Rafa, right? Like, he's not going to play if he doesn't feel like he can at least be competitive. But yeah, hopefully a lot of time still. But even if it's just like a third round, fourth round appearance, that would be huge. We have the breakdown of Shelton's shot selection. Where can I find out how many slices he had in set 1? Let me see if that's on the ATP Tour live scoring, but if it's not, I'm not going to have it. It also could be on the stat screen shown at the end of the set, actually. But that would be just like the percentages, not the actual number. But let me see if I can find that. Oh, there was a 143 miles per hour serve from Ben Shelton as well in the opening set. They just showed it on the replay. So here he takes the set, and where is the board with the stats? I guess here. And we've got 10 winners for Shelton, 8 unforced errors. Where's the other board? So Ben was slicing 44% of his shots. Well, that sounds a little much. Am I questioning them? Well, maybe. There is that stroke summary section here, but I don't know if it's, it doesn't include slices. There's also the rally analysis. It also doesn't include slices. So basically the ATP website is coming up dry. And on the feed, they showed that Shelton had apparently 44% slices in the opening set. That sounds weird. I don't think that's accurate. Yeah, that's a funny one from Sean. And actually never won the French, so he's 0 times worse than Rafa, and Rafa is 0 times better than him, because you can't really multiply. Well, it's always going to be 0. Yeah, 44% can't be right. I agree. He's been using it maybe a little bit, but 44%, nah. He's not on the defense all that much. And apparently we'll also have commentary for Garcia Osaka today. That kind of sounds like, it rings a bell, right? Commentary for Garcia Osaka. That's happened so far this year. And it's not the first time, let me tell you. And in fact, I believe this is already the 3rd time, right? So similarly to Świątek Noszkova, I suppose. We've got another Garcia Osaka in store for us as well. Naomi potentially having a chance for a big run here. I mean, she's looking like the part, but of course you gotta beat Garcia first, and I think then she has like a very exciting matchup with who was that actually? Oh yeah, with Goff potentially, if Goff beats Dodeo and Osaka beats Garcia. First game for Landaluce in the 2nd set. And by the way, I still haven't touched on all the other results. I was supposed to, but Musetti is actually leading Safiullin by a break, but now 3 break points down. I feel like that would be a considerable upset if Musetti wins over Safiullin on that sort of court. You've also got Adrian Manarino up a set on Yannick Hanfmann, Jan-Lennart Struff up a set and a break on Daniel Altmaier, but it's an early break in the second set. And we also have a couple of women's matches where Jasmine Paolini is down a set to Emma Navarro. So these two women who have been really like in form the past few weeks, the past few months even. Emma Navarro so far dominating this match, and Daria Kasatkina against Sorana Kirstea are at 5-all. I think I saw Kasatkina leading that match 4-love earlier, didn't I? No, it was actually just 3-love, but with 2 breaks. But yeah, eventually they actually got to 5-all. Let's see if Ben Shelton can keep just kind of routining Martin Landaluce. I don't think that would be a stretch. Gets a bit of a shorter return here, tries to just expose that situational advantage, and once again, sensational hands. 5 volley winners from Shelton as well, and some of them have been really, really tough. I like how he resets here with the loopier forehand. Gets an error from Landaluce. Like, it wasn't that tough a shot for Landaluce to like have to commit an error, but it was still a good way to recover for Shelton, because after the Spaniard's return, he was pushed backwards. And yeah, I like this one. 30-love up now. Whoa. He's had a very high first serve percentage all match, but this one was pretty much in the fence. Seems like it's pretty windy as well in Miami, so that's interesting that he's been serving so well. Ball exploding off the Shelton forehand here, as it seems that Landaluce has put him under pressure with the return, but Ben, while falling backwards, he is still able to produce a lot. The coaches of Landaluce trying to fire him up, but it's love 40 already from his perspective on the Shelton serve, so it might be tough to look for a break in this game. And another serve and volley attempt from Shelton. He's going to win the point, although Landaluce had a pass there. He had the racket, he had the ball. As usual, you always have the racket. You pretty much always have the ball as well. But he had that shot at the cross-court angle and just nets it. Landaluce starting this set first, of course. Maybe this is one of these where, like, as long as he can keep holding, as long as he can keep putting Shelton under pressure, maybe something will eventually come his way. Who knows? Definitely a very different matchup to what he had to endure in the opening round against Jaume Munar. But it's going to be good experience regardless. As I think Shelton misses that return too. Certainly quite makeable, but I actually don't even know what are Landaluce's next plans. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to be getting wildcards into Barcelona and Madrid. They kind of have to pack him. Well, I don't know if qualifying or wildcard or major, right? But pretty sure he's gonna get that. I mean, yeah, seems like. I mean, after next week, there are a couple of. Well, there's also one next week, but he's not signed up for it, so I don't think he's gonna play it really, given that it's already Sunday. Well, yeah, we have the draw, so he's not playing it. But after next week, so after Miami is completed, there's gonna be a couple of challengers in Madrid and Barcelona. So the events that eventually he's also gonna be playing, main draw or qualifying with wildcard sets. So I think he can probably rely potentially on wildcards there too, if he doesn't get in, because at least for Barcelona, he's very close to getting in now. Well, maybe not very close, but 12 alternate. So I'm assuming that the next appearances for him will be just Spanish clay challengers. For now, he still has Miami, though. He still has that chance to beat Ben Shelton here, potentially. Ben with a couple of points that maybe he could have threatened Landaluce in here, but he misses that final forehand. Let me see also who they're going to play potentially next round. It's going to be Musetti or Safiullin, so that's a very winnable match, I think. For Shelton mostly. For Landaluce, he wouldn't be the favorite, but he would still have his chances against either player. And that is the Alcaraz section, where Carlos will play Gael Monfils next. Monfils quite in form, it's not going to be easy. But if Alcaraz pushes through Monfils, I mean, we would love to see Alcaraz Shelton round 4, right? That would be quite something. The Saudi takeover in full effect almost already, as when Landaluce is serving from that one camera, we just see the huge PIF, the Public Investment Fund logo behind him. $40-30 here for Landaluce, as he just missed a +1 forehand. Let's see if it's meaningful. It's not, as the serve actually is getting him out of trouble in this game quite a lot. So, it's not quite at Shelton's level, but it is still a weapon. And so far, he's keeping up with Ben in the second set. Musetti, Safiullin now 4 games all. We also have Struff having a break point for a set and a double break lead, which would be quite huge. Fair few comments. Can't wait to see how Landaluce does in the future. Maybe he can find his optimal surface and dominate like the other youngsters. Yeah, early on in his career, he was actually kind of good on clay because, he was so slow that there he actually had time, to just get himself into position more often. But I think as he grows, it's definitely going to be a quicker court for him. Who's the big Diego? Because you say little Diego. I wonder who's the big Diego. Maradona? I already put my money on Osaka winning US Open or Australian Open. Wait any longer, those odds will drop significantly, especially if she makes a deep run here. It's not a bad bet, probably. I mean, Iga is not going to like the conditions on both of these courts. Sabalenka, Rybakina, we see that they're not at that sort of level of consistency that Świątek is on. Otherwise, it really could be wide open, and if Osaka just gets herself to let's say a pretty massive return to form and return to her peak game, yeah, it's not a bad idea, I think. And indeed, it's one big run, and the odds drop significantly. Yeah, it would literally take one big run. Apparently, Swarna is there with the answers for Ghosty. That Goff said that she was staying at home. Some players just really enjoy it, right? When they are at an event and they can just live at home. Some, like Świątek in Warsaw, are living in hotels anyway, to sort of not be distracted and simulate the pro experience. Of course, that's not going to be a dilemma for Świątek anytime soon, since the Warsaw event could cancel, but well. I was definitely more of a Sampras than a Gassi guy. I actually didn't know Manarino was also there in Florida. Yeah, but Hurkacz for sure. You can probably Google the Manarino string tension. He changes it a bit from event to event, but you can Google it and you're gonna find it. Yeah, it's a string tension that basically no one else would be able to play with. No one else would be able to control the ball with. In fact, I might just Google it. Why not? Yeah, so 11 kilos here, 19 pounds in Delray, someone says. Yeah, 19 pounds in Del Rey last year, for example. Yeah, Andre would fit very well in the modern game. That's very true. He's in many ways a prototype of the modern returning style that we see from a lot of players. 30 all now. Let's see. A pretty crucial moment. Still haven't managed to get to the bottom of the chat, but I will soon. Now, however, Ben Shelton serving at 30 all. Perhaps the first opportunity Landaluce will have to crack Ben. We'll see. Well, he's in the point, and that's something already, but he's not in the point for long. Again, Shelton, theoretically a deep return from Landaluce, but the way that Ben generates the pace, like from seemingly a nothing position, you know, it is pretty insane. Yeah, he's falling backwards and still finding that forehand down the line here. Beautiful shot. Once again, a huge roar from him too. 40-30, so he might just get to 2-all anyway. But that was a close call at that point. I mean, could have missed it. I guess you can always miss, regardless which shot it is, but this one was really tough. And a great second serve at the body. The kick serve just really surprises Landaluce, who tries to block it off the backhand, but it's like over his head, kinda. And yeah, basically it's not his comfort zone, really. It's not anyone's comfort zone to block serves from that height. So it is 2 games all after all. Landaluce didn't end up getting a chance. Swarna says that Osaka can't beat Iga or Coco. I would actually like her chances against Goff here in Miami. If the courts are quick enough, I would like her chances against Goff. Then again, like against Świątek in Australia, for example, like wouldn't she be a perfect type of player to beat Świątek? You know, big serve, massive power on both wings, can go super flat at the forehand. I don't know. I think it really depends on the conditions. She's likely going to have a bit of a drop-off, obviously, the clay season, as she always has. What is more thrilling to me? I mean, I like serve volleying, you know. Would I necessarily want every single player on the tour to be a serve and volleyer? No. And I guess what you said here, like, you know, it kind of has this logical flow because how many returns like this you're going to get from Andre in the entire match? Like 3, 4? And from Sampras, you're going to get the serve and volley basically on every point on serve. So what I'm trying to say is that while the return winner from Andre might be more exciting, you're not gonna get it as often. Yeah, that's a fair point, Swarna. But like, you know, we are talking about the U.S. Open or Australia potentially, right? So, although I guess I said that if they play here, I would also like her chances. So sort of regardless of that, it started. You know, the discussion started from U.S. Open Australia. So I think, you know, the assumption is that by this point they will be more she will be more ready simply. I get it, Ghosty, but like that also means that, you know, if you only have 3 or 4 shots like this a rally, a match, it's not gonna like keep your excitement high all along, right? I don't know. I mean, obviously it's just apples and strawberries and stuff, right? Some people like pizza with pineapple, and some people like what was it that I heard recently? It was like scrambled eggs with banana or something. Sounds ridiculous, but well. That forehand winner from Landaluce here down the line was pretty funny. Just the way that Shelton was, I guess, not expecting much, and suddenly there's a sound coming next to him, and he like doesn't really know what happened. Ooh, that's a fancy drop shot from Martin too. Should be winning this point, and he does with the backhand overhead. So 3-2 Landaluce. He's holding up very well in this second set so far. let's see if that lasts, and let's see if maybe he can keep putting on more pressure, keep putting more pressure on Shelton. As obviously the previous service game of Ben was actually quite tough, and he had to come up with this ridiculous +1 winner to avoid going break put down. Strawberries are clearly better than apples. I like both. I can't really say I like either, or like both are for kind of different purposes, right? An apple you're just gonna eat as a whole, whereas strawberries you're gonna add to something for the most part. So it's a big difference, I guess. And I can't really say I like either this one or that one. Ricotta, I haven't done that. Obviously, green onion is like a classic on scrambled eggs for sure. I was adding some soy sauce as well from time to time. Like it's kind of funny. It's pretty much like salt. But yeah, ricotta cheese probably not good for me with my slight aversion to cheese. At least cheese that's not like baked and stuff, like on pizza, yeah, it's fine. But when it comes to scrambled eggs, I'm a classic guy. Bacon, tomatoes, sure, sausage, sure, onion, great, green onion, as you said. But anytime someone mentions ketchup or banana, no, that sounds weird to me. And yeah, Shelton serving and 2 free downs, still not too crucial yet. Like, it's not a game where I think he's gonna be feeling the scoreboard pressure yet. But maybe some better times are coming for Landaluce. At least the last few games, they kind of suggested us that they might. We will see. In other news, we also have, I guess not much yet, but Kirstea took that first set over Kasatkina despite being at 1 point double breakdown. We also have Coco Gauff and Ocean Dodin on the court right now, so that will potentially be a rival for Osaka, whom we've been talking about a bit here. But in the men's, not much development yet. Still up a set and a break, Struff. Still up a set but no break, Hanfman. Still up a set but no break, Ben Shelton, whom of course we're watching very closely. And Musetti and Safiullin seem to be headed towards the tie break, despite a few twists along the way. Seems like it will end in the very casual tiebreaker. Still a lot of exciting matches coming up. Of course, later today we've got Fabian Marozsan against Holger Rune. Can Marozsan sort of keep up his incredible record at the ATP 1000 level? Arnaldi Shapovalov is one that excites me a lot. It was already a great promise at what was it, Roland Garros when they played last year. There maybe Matteo wasn't fully there yet with his level, wasn't fully able to just trouble Dennis, but this time it seems like a straight up 50-50. They've both had big wins so far in this event. And yeah, Mahaj Mare, I want to watch that too for sure. Maybe the South American battle between Jari Sejbovit, that also excites me quite a lot. The night matches, I guess, are a little iffy, but there's also going to be a great final at the challenger level, an all Brazilian one in Paraguay in Asuncion at midnight my time. So for Miami, that would be 7 p.m., I suppose. And that will be Gustavo Haide against Joao Fonseca, the US Open champion from last year. So Landaluce won it in 2022, the boys juniors in New York. Fonseca won it, of course, last year, the junior number one, recently at least, is going to be playing his first challenger final. And that's a massive, massive opportunity for him at just 17 years of age. Landaluce, the guy we're watching here, is 18, of course. I think Ben is 21. I don't think he's had his birthday yet. He is 2002 born. Landaluce 2006, I believe. So kind of 4 years between them, although it's a little less if you factor in the months. Shelton held easily for 3 games all, and so far Landaluce also seems to be cruising towards another hold. This second set, so far, not much of a difference in how easily they're holding, so that's a good sign for him. Someone is asking me a very how do you say it? Oh Jesus, I'm struggling to find a word right now. But yeah, just a very sort of timely question about Clement's deck and how he'll do on clay. So forgive me for not saying something for like 15 seconds. You understand that I have to reply to that. But it is actually something that I'm very interested in. Anyway, 30 all here at 3 games all, and Landaluce commits a double fault. So suddenly, out of that 30 love lead, he might have put himself in a bit of trouble. Shelton gets into the rally as well, finds the forehand, but it's just really short. He's kind of just allowing Martin to attack here. The Spanish youngster won't take that chance, though, so it's going to be breakpoint Shelton, a little out of nowhere after these first 2 points went so smoothly in Landaluce's favor. Pressing question is what I was trying to find earlier, yeah, but I absolutely forgot. Anyway, breakpoint down. Let's see how Landaluce plays this one. Great serve, but it will be back in play. He still needs to crack the forehand, and it's good enough. Shelton could have had a play on the ball. He will be a little disappointed that he didn't lift it over the tape, but it is what it is, and he has to live with the consequences now. That's a fine point from Shelton, though. He gets pushed to his forehand corner, comes out with this spinny cross-court shot. It gets an error out of Landaluce, so there's going to be one more breakpoint. He kind of wasted one of them. Let's see if he can produce something on the next opportunity. Key point coming up. Martin Landaluce misses the first serve. It was pretty close. So it's a big opportunity for Shelton here to step up. On the previous breakpoint was the first serve from Landaluce. Let's see what Ben does. He tries to run around, doesn't have too much time for it, but he manages to survive, defending pretty well here. He slices the ball, so he's adding to that slice counter that Ghosty is producing, and eventually it's going to be Landaluce missing the forehand, so just making a few balls here, running and basically scrambling around the court is going to be enough for Shelton to land the break. As I said earlier, so far this has been a very sound performance from him, just never really letting go for a moment, playing pretty solid. And for now, that's been enough. Let's see if he can also take that match to a pretty early finish, up a set and a break by now. And that pressing question about Shidek on clay, I think I've just answered, so I will be able to be more attentive, hopefully. All right. Americans know how to serve, that's for sure. I love Shelton's serve, not just the power, but the movement on it. Says Sean, yeah, I mean, the power is obviously massive, but all these spins that he has, all the angles, that's probably even more important. Musetti is like a beautiful portrait that drawn in the sand. That is an interesting analogy. Do you think Steph will ever get back to his career high ranking? What is his career high? Is it number 3? Then he has no shot, I think. Yeah, number 3. I mean, it's gonna be tough without being a contender for big titles again. And for now, it doesn't seem like he has any chances of doing that. He's past his prime at 25. That's tough. Yeah, he's past his prime. Plus, he's also like getting exposed by stronger, younger, better competition. Right? That's kind of the main issue. That there's just too many guys he can't beat right now in order to contend for big titles. Oh yeah, where is the footage? Yeah, where is the footage of you falling on carpet? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm getting ready for a story too. I mean, I played on clay a few days ago. I played on hard courts today. I'm ready for any conditions besides carpet. Carpet I still haven't played on, although I would love to. For a laugh, even if anything, not anything else. But it seems to me that on paper it should suit me, but who knows? Such a specific profile. 137 miles per hour ace for Shelton here. 6-3, 5-3. Yeah, pretty much nothing you can criticize him for. I mean, he's clearly the better player at this stage of their careers, and he's just kind of brutally showing it. Well, not that brutally. I mean, still, Martin has won 6 games already. Maybe he's gonna get his 7th here, but I mean, it's gonna be tough to really break back Shelton here. Ooh, stunning shot though. He will remember that one. Kind of out of position on the forehand. I mean, of course, if he was moving better, maybe he would have had a cleaner shot here, and maybe it wouldn't have been such a nice looking passing shot. But in the end, it's actually a very nice one on the stretch for the Spanish 18-year-old. Very good hitting here too. I mean, he gets Shelton on the move, fires a backhand winner into the open court. He, if this is going to be the last game that he wins, he's kind of trying to go out of a bang. Shelton adding to that slice count again. First one is good, but the second is just completely shanked. So it's going to be a quick game for Landaluce, and after the changeover, we will have Ben Shelton returning to serve for the match. 35 minutes in the opening set, 9 games. 35 minutes in the second set, also 9 games. But of course, this time the match has not ended. Ben Shelton will also have to come back and actually win it, actually get it over the line. Yeah, this could be some sort of a joke from Jane about playing on carpet as a kid or something, but I don't know. Diana Ross turning 80 this week. Yeah, I think when you mentioned earlier that you were going to write something like that, I was thinking, did she die? But apparently not. Apparently it's on Diana Ross turning 80. Nine out of 10 non-net points Landaluce. I wonder why he didn't try to come in more frequently. I mean, this is not really something that we can look at, in a vacuum, because, well, he's not using it as like a proper tactic. He's using it to kind of just finish off points, right? So when he's on the attack, like sometimes he will end up at the net, but it doesn't mean that he's like, his volleying skills or in general that they are that good. Like, he's just mostly using it as a tactic to wrap up points instead of as a tactic to win points. Like, for example, Shelton is going to serve in volley or maybe go for more like a kamikaze approach from time to time, which obviously will have a lower success rate. But where would you really see Landaluce in this match at the net more? Because the points that he's losing aggressively, he's losing with like the shots that would sort of set up him going to the net. And on the return, there's like no space for him to go there. So I don't think there was really any option for him to be at the net more often. Let's see if he can produce anything in this last game, or potentially last game. Well, the first point goes his way. He just defends pretty well and eventually gets an error from Shelton, who tries to go for this whippy forehand down the line and misses it. A serve like this down the tee will definitely help Shelton clinch this one. 3 points away now. Gonna have to do it on the second serve. Was trying to serve and volley again. Yeah, that's pretty brutal. Landaluce puts in a nice return, but it's not enough to like really take the racket out of Shelton's hands. Again, Ben produces a lot of pace and a lot of angle while still falling backwards, and he manages to get it, just sharp enough so that Landaluce has no chance of making it. So just 2 points away now for Ben. Big serve should be able to get the smash in here. Yes, indeed. So it's going to be too much points, even though it was kind of weird here because Landaluce was kind of like started trying to do jumping jacks or something, and I think the ball maybe even clipped the net or like was pretty close to it at least. But anyway, doesn't matter. Too much points for Shelton now. Should be a save from Landaluce. Yes, indeed. Serve and volley attempt from Shelton. Gets his racket on the ball, but it's not good enough to make Landaluce hit a forced error on the pass. So one more match point. Will he go for the serve and volley again, or is it going to be a more conventional approach? There's not going to be even a chance to check that out as Shelton blasts a big serve. It's a warm handshake at the net, it seems, although they're talking about it. I don't know. Maybe Ben was actually mentioning that jumping jack, which he kind of didn't like, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, they are right now, just over the handshake anyway. Shelton says thank you to the crowd. 6-3, 6-4, very, very sharp performance. There was kind of nothing that Landaluce could do. So all in all, I think it was still a very nice experience for him in Miami, of course. Getting a wild card here and getting a win, getting 2 matches in against quality players. That's a big win for Martin. Let's see how he can do in the clay swing right now, where he's going to get the Barcelona, Madrid wildcards. Shelton stays in the event. Shelton will have major chances for a run here, but, well, a lot of that will be based on whether he can beat Alcaraz, if Alcaraz beats Monfils. But for now, in the third round, Ben Shelton is going to play either Lorenzo Musetti or Roman Safiullin. In that particular match, at the moment, we've got 7-5, 2-1 Musetti. So actually from low 40 at 5-6, he managed to break Safiullin. That's very interesting. And Struff is almost about to close out the match against Altmaier. So, yeah. Ben is praising him. Okay, that's good. That's good then. Because I was afraid that there was something in there. I've said it before, but like my pronunciation of Andrej's surname is just how we say it in Poland, basically. PT Shelton isn't playing this year. Yes, absolutely. Isn't playing Estorin this year. Yes, absolutely. I agree. But yeah, going forward, I don't think he's going to be doing it much. Monte Carlo as well. He's not playing it, which is kind of already shows you that maybe he's going to be scheduling himself a little different. Yeah, lots of slices today from Ben Shelton, so probably a good tactical choice, 99%. Clearly it worked. Clearly he won. So, yeah, I guess that's going to be it, guys. Thank you. As you read earlier, there's going to be a watch-along for Osaka Garcia as well, so make sure to tune into that. I had you, I guided you through, if I can say that, Landaluce Shelton. Hope it was fun. And, yeah, see you some other time.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis. The mental side of tennis, from my perspective as a fan, if you like, the two things that strike me in tennis compared to lots of other sports that I think make it a big mental challenge is, first of all, it's an individual sport. But secondly, so there's nowhere to hide. Like in football, in a team sport, you can just give the ball to another, teammate, and you cannot call for it if you like. But there's nowhere to hide. The other thing as well in tennis is again in something like football, you can be really nervous, but you can get a bit lucky. And of course, that can be the case in tennis. But basically, your body could be shaking when you're about to take a penalty, okay? And you can still score because you can just put your foot through it, right? You just hit it as hard as you can. And actually, probably you will still score because of the odds on that.
Yeah.
But there's that in a sport such as darts, snooker, tennis, where you need to be pretty calm and you need to have a pretty steady hand. There's just nowhere to hide. Is there anything I'm missing, or am I underplaying something, or even overplaying?
No. I think you're 100% correct. I think the real tough thing about these sports and tennis in particular, because of how physical it is as well, is the relentlessness of point after point. And if you're nervous, you have to fight through those nerves sometimes for, an hour. and they might disappear for a while, but then suddenly, you're 5-all and it's tight again and you're feeling very tight, and you have to manage it over and over again. And I think, the best players in the world just, use their tools and remember to use their tools in big moments. Because, once you get to pro level, it's not like any player doesn't kind of know what they have to do, but it's in the heat of that moment that they either don't remember because the brain is frying a little bit, or they don't have the courage to use them.
Yeah.
So, for us sitting there, I remember when Roger Federer had 2 match points against Novak at Wimbledon serving.
Yeah.
You're thinking serve and volley both.
Okay.
Yeah, probably Novak's not going to make a great return on both.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know whether what Roger was thinking, or maybe knew something more than I did, but that was my thinking. But he didn't, and they slipped through his hands. Now, to do that though in that moment takes a huge amount of courage.
Yeah.
And first to make the decision, and then secondly to follow through the decision like that. But then you've always got, and this is what's so tough for players. The other thing is, match point, make the person play. Don't serve and give them a quick volley or whatever. And that's another school of thought. But I think deep down, players get to a place where they have an instinct. And I think, I say this over and over again, the best players in the world are the most relaxed and the bravest. Because in those moments, when their instinct is telling them something, they are brave enough to follow it. And which is why, and again, it doesn't guarantee you're going to win, but I do think it starts to push the odds more in your favor. I'll just say one other thing is, I don't know if anybody's ever been go-karting or any kind of motor racing or watches motor racing,
mm-hmm.
but when a driver gets in the groove, they lap like within 0.1 of a second, every lap, like in this unbelievable groove.
Mm-hmm.
But if they lose that groove, when they're in that groove, it seems so easy. Just do it, like no hassle. But if they lose that groove, if they go a little too fast, then they slide out of a corner, they lose time. If they go a little too slow, then that's not effective. And the margins are so small to stay on that groove. And for players as well, when you go into something like the French Open or any tournament, but especially the big ones, you hope that you can get through that first match and find a groove. And if you get in that groove, then that gives you your best chances of winning, because then most stuff is happening automatically, which is the most effective. Everybody has a problem when they start to think on the court, and automatic is fastest and easiest because you know how to do things. And it's not like you don't register. I say when you're playing very well, you are aware of everything, but nothing distracts you. When you start to think, your thoughts start to distract you. And that's very difficult to manage. And if you can learn how to manage that and get yourself back in the groove a little faster than other players, that's obviously, helps with ranking and why certain players, are more consistent than others, because they tend to manage that better. I hope that makes sense anyway.
It does. It definitely does. With the mental side of tennis, from my perspective as a fan, if you like, the two things that strike me in tennis compared to lots of other sports that I think make it a big mental challenge is, first of all, it's an individual sport. But secondly, so there's nowhere to hide. Like in football, in a team sport, you can just give the ball to another, teammate, and you cannot call for it if you like. But there's nowhere to hide. The other thing as well in tennis is again in something like football, you can be really nervous, but you can get a bit lucky. And of course, that can be the case in tennis. But basically, your body could be shaking when you're about to take a penalty. Okay. and you can
Yeah.
still score because you can just put your foot through it, right? You
Yeah.
just hit it as hard as you can, and actually probably you will still score because of the odds on that.
Yeah.
But there's that in a sport such as darts, snooker, tennis, where you need to be pretty calm and you need to have a pretty steady hand. There's just nowhere to hide. Is there anything I'm missing, or am I underplaying something, or even overplaying?
No. I think you're 100% correct. I think the real tough thing about these sports and tennis in particular, because of how physical it is as well, is the relentlessness of point after point. And if you're nervous, you have to fight through those nerves sometimes for an hour. and they might disappear for a while, but then suddenly you're 5-all and it's tight again, and you're feeling very tight, and you have to manage it over and over again. And I think the best players in the world just use their tools and remember to use their tools in big moments. Because once you get to pro level, it's not like any player doesn't kind of know what they have to do, but it's in the heat of that moment that they either don't remember because the brain is frying a little bit, or they don't have the courage to use them.
Yeah.
So for us sitting there, I remember when Roger Federer had 2 match points against Novak at Wimbledon serving.
Yeah.
You're thinking serve and volley both.
Okay.
Yeah, probably Novak's not going to make a great return on both.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't know what whether what Roger was thinking, or maybe knew something more than I did, but that was my thinking. But he didn't, and they slipped through his hands. Now to do that though in that moment takes a huge amount of courage.
Yeah.
And first to make the decision, and then secondly to follow through the decision like that. But then you've always got, and this is what's so tough for players. The other thing is, match point, make the person play. Don't serve and give them a quick volley or whatever. And that's another school of thought. But I think deep down, players get to a place where they have an instinct. And I think, I say this over and over again, the best players in the world are the most relaxed and the bravest. Because in those moments, when their instinct is telling them something, they are brave enough to follow it. And which is why, and again, it doesn't guarantee you're going to win, but I do think it starts to push the odds more in your favor. I'll just say one other thing is, I don't know if anybody's ever been go-karting or any kind of motor racing or watches motor racing,
mm-hmm.
but when a driver gets in the groove, they lap like within 0.1 of a second,
mm-hmm.
Every lap, like in this unbelievable groove.
Mm-hmm.
But if they lose that groove, when they're in that groove, it seems so easy. Just do it, right? No hassle. But if they lose that groove, if they go a little too fast, then they slide out of a corner, they lose time. If they go a little too slow, then that's not effective. And the margins are so small to stay on that groove. And for players as well, when you go into something like the French Open or any tournament, but especially the big ones, you hope that you can get through that first match and find a groove. And if you get in that groove, then that gives you your best chances of winning, because then most stuff is happening automatically, which is the most effective. Everybody has a problem when they start to think on the court, and automatic is fastest and easiest because you know how to do things. And it's not like you don't register. I say when you're playing very well, you are aware of everything, but nothing distracts you. When you start to think, your thoughts start to distract you. And that's very difficult to manage. And if you can learn how to manage that and get yourself back in the groove a little faster than than other players. That's obviously, helps with ranking and why certain players, are more consistent than others, because they tend to manage that better. I hope that makes sense anyway.
It does. It definitely does. With the mental side of tennis, from my perspective as a fan, if you like, the two things that strike me in tennis compared to lots of other sports that I think make it a big mental challenge is, first of all, it's an individual sport. But secondly, so there's nowhere to hide. Like in football, in a team sport, you can just give the ball to another, teammate, and you cannot call for it if you like. But there's nowhere to hide. The other thing as well in tennis is again in something like football, you can be really nervous, but you can get a bit lucky. And of course, that can be the case in tennis. But basically, your body could be shaking when you're about to take a penalty. Okay, and you can still score because you can just put your foot through it, right? You just hit it as hard as you can. And actually, probably you will still score because of the odds on that.
Yeah.
But there's that in a sport such as darts, snooker, tennis, where you need to be pretty calm and you need to have a pretty steady hand. There's just nowhere to hide. Is there anything I'm missing, or am I underplaying something, or even overplaying?
No. I think you're 100% correct. I think the real tough thing about these sports and tennis in particular, because of how physical it is as well, is the relentlessness of point after point. And if you're nervous, you have to fight through those nerves sometimes for, an hour. and they might disappear for a while, but then suddenly, you're 5-all and it's tight again and you're feeling very tight, and you have to manage it over and over again. And I think, the best players in the world just, use their tools and remember to use their tools in big moments. Because, once you get to pro level, it's not like any player doesn't kind of know what they have to do, but it's in the heat of that moment that they either don't remember because the brain is frying a little bit, or they don't have the courage to use them. Yeah. So, for us sitting there, I remember when Roger Federer had 2 match points against Novak at Wimbledon serving.
Yeah.
You're thinking serve and volley both.
Okay.
Yeah, probably Novak's not going to make a great return on both.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know what whether what Roger was thinking, or maybe knew something more than that I did, but that was my thinking. But he didn't, and they slipped through his hands. Now, to do that though in that moment takes a huge amount of courage.
Yeah, and
first to make the decision, and then secondly to follow through the decision like that. But then you've always got, and this is what's so tough for players. The other thing is, match point, make the person play. Don't serve and give them a quick volley or whatever. And that's another school of thought. But I think deep down, players get to a place where they have an instinct. And I think, I say this over and over again, the best players in the world are the most relaxed and the bravest. Because in those moments, when their instinct is telling them something, they are brave enough to follow it, and which is why. And again, it doesn't guarantee you're going to win, but I do think it starts to push the odds more in your favor. I'll just say one other thing is, I don't know if anybody's ever been go-karting or any kind of motor racing or watches motor racing, but when a driver gets in the groove, they lap like within 0.1 of a second every lap, like in this unbelievable groove. But if they lose that groove, when they're in that groove, it seems so easy. Just do it, right? No hassle. But if they lose that groove, if they go a little too fast, then they slide out of a corner, they lose time. If they go a little too slow, then that's not effective. and the margins are so small to stay on that groove. And for players as well, when you go into something like the French Open or any tournament, but especially the big ones, you hope that you can get through that first match and find a groove. And if you get in that groove, then that gives you your best chances of winning, because then most stuff is happening automatically, which is the most effective. Everybody has a problem when they start to think on the court, and automatic is fastest and easiest because you know how to do things. And it's not like you don't register. I say when you're playing very well, you are aware of everything, but nothing distracts you. When you start to think, your thoughts start to distract you. And that's very difficult to manage. And if you can learn how to manage that and get yourself back in the groove a little faster than other players, that's obviously, helps with ranking and why certain players, are more consistent than others, because they tend to manage that better. I hope that makes sense anyway.
It does. It definitely does. With the mental side of tennis, from my perspective as a fan, if you like, the two things that strike me in tennis compared to lots of other sports that I think make it a big mental challenge is, first of all, it's an individual sport, but secondly, so there's nowhere to hide. Like in football, in a team sport, you can just give the ball to another teammate and you cannot call for it, if you like, but there's nowhere to hide. The other thing as well in tennis is again, in something like football, you can be really nervous, but you can get a bit lucky. And of course, that can be the case in tennis. But basically, your body could be shaking when you're about to take a penalty, okay? And you can still score because you can just put your foot through it, right? You just hit it as hard as you can. And actually, probably you will still score because of the odds on that.
Yeah.
But there's that in a sport such as darts, snooker, tennis, where you need to be pretty calm and you need to have a pretty steady hand. There's just nowhere to hide. Is there anything I'm missing, or am I underplaying something, or even overplaying?
No. I think you're 100% correct. I think the real tough thing about these sports and tennis in particular, because of how physical it is as well, is the relentlessness of point after point. And if you're nervous, you have to fight through those nerves sometimes for an hour. And they might disappear for a while, but then suddenly, you're 5-all and it's tight again, and you're feeling very tight, and you have to manage it over and over again. And I think the best players in the world just use their tools and remember to use their tools in big moments, because once